you have established a community. So it's not just clients coming to a gym. You have a movement. You have zoned in and doubled down on the community aspect of it. What are the pillars behind that concept? And why is that important?
I focus on systems. I focus on cutting off persons who wouldn't align with the vision I had. I started reading. I started to just network with persons who were already at the position I wanted to be at. And that's where the magic occurred actually. Every person has two versions of themselves. It have the soul, yeah, it have the general. So the general does help set the ideas, and the soul does have to attack. So once the general able to make proper ideas, and you train yourself to be a soul as well, to attack the ideas, conceptualization and execution is where this compound and help you become the best version of yourself in the long run.
Welcome to another episode of The Blueprint. I am your host, Dr. Jelani Reed, where we dive deep into the DNA of leadership, innovation, and impact. And on today's episode, we have a very special guest, one that I would say I grew up with. And it's to see this young man take a vision, that's a dream that he once had, and make it an absolute reality. And what is most distinguishing about what he has done is that he has taken something that we all know, fitness, gym life, and made it something his own. He has placed his own DNA on it. Audience, listeners of The Blueprint, this is the blueprint of Jonathan Dickerson. Coach, welcome.
It's a pleasure being here.
How are you this morning?
I'm great, man.
Excellent.
How are you?
I am good.
Excellent.
So on The Blueprint, we like to start our conversations as I would call it behind the scenes.
Okay.
Coach, where did it come from? Where did your vision of new image fitness, where did that arise?
Okay, so basically growing up, I was roasted a lot, being skinny now. So I had a lot of pivotal points where an example is that I went to a funeral when I was small, right? And the focus of a funeral is supposed to basically focus on the person who passed. But instead, the persons were roasting me and saying, you're looking like your next now. So those kind of statements are kind of invigorate motivation of change. And then that's, I started fitness, it's an addiction. And basically, people eventually started asking me for tips and advice and those kind of stuff. And I had a little school group when I used to go to St. Mary's College. We used to do pull-ups and push-ups in the cafeteria, lunchtime every single day. And eventually, after the school scene, we were able to get a space and start the whole movement.
You know, I have to have a sit-down talk with our research team because you're the second St. Mary's boy that we have here.
Serious?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You all should have gone to a good school.
Yeah.
So we have this young, skinny Jonathan, and he would have attended St. Mary's College. He would have been roasted at a funeral, right?
That's correct.
In 2017, this young boy who was roasted, who decided that he would form his little school group, right, to start the progress. But that year, how was that a transformative year of taking just your circumstance and making it a reality?
Honestly, what made me take the business aspect of it seriously is that, so previously my focus was just on the fitness aspect. I was just addicted to fitness, but I wasn't really addicted to the process of building the business in itself. So that paradigm shift occurred when I went to a cruise in 2019. So previously I was addicted to fitness, but I wasn't concerned about the monetary aspect. When I went on the cruise and I realized how life was supposed to be lived, that is where I get the paradigm shift to basically take the business aspect serious to come out of the circumstance I was in before the cruise. So as soon as the cruise finished, I focus on systems, I focus on cutting off persons who wouldn't align with the vision I had. I started reading, I started to just network with persons who were already at the position I wanted to be at. And that's where the magic occurred actually. Yeah.
So what was that vision? You said that you had that vision and it didn't align with your vision. What was that vision? And
my vision was basically to have a business that could basically scale and run independently. And when I looked around with my friend group and stuff, persons of my age weren't doing that now. So I had nobody to really look to for advice or guidance. And so that is what I turned to virtual mentors like Tony Robbins and Les Brown and persons that could basically program a mind for success.
So how old were you at in 2017.
17, I was 18 years old.
So how does a young 18-year-old take an experience, because you're on a cruise, you're supposed to be there to enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy being in the moment. How does a young person change from, I guess, a point of view of focusing on fitness at 18 to now focus on business and transforming his model to that? That's not what a young, average 18-year-old will do.
That's correct. I think it also developed from just being around a father who already has a business and entrepreneurship mindset. So every single day I would see him listening to motivational speakers, reading. I never hear him play music in his vehicle at any point in my life. It's always something like an audiobook or something motivational. So those principles, I think, subconsciously program my mind to success. And it's only on the cruise itself, everything click. And everything that I learned growing up, basically started to manifest now. Yeah.
So what was the support like? Because you have progressed into a path that is not traditional. You know, a young person growing up in Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, you're taught, you go primary school, you go secondary school, you get your CXC passes, you get your A-levels passes, you head on to university and you find a government job. But Coach Jonathan Dickerson didn't do that, the normal trajectory of things. He has emphasized on his passion and have made it a reality. He has emphasized on the non-traditional way of learning, the non-traditional way of educating himself, and he doubled down on it. Right?
That's correct.
So that's my question. What was the support like in not going the traditional path of learning?
Okay, so honestly, it started off in the traditional Caribbean household where mommy will be concerned about your future. She will be like, "You sure you want to go and find a work somewhere? But you sure? I see you in a track pants every day, everybody else in soft pants, everybody going to school or going on this at a track pants thing." So my goal was to basically prove to her that this idea that I had was worthwhile. So I think getting that friction at the start motivate me even more to get things done in a faster period of time. So the support was definitely there, but obviously from a Caribbean household standpoint, because it's not something that is normal, persons who are concerned about it will obviously recommend the safest path for you. And my father is the entrepreneurship mindset, but my mommy was a little bit more concerned, you know. So, but definitely the support from my parents generally was definitely something that made me reach where I am today. And the support from my friends and everybody definitely propelled the success that I have currently.
So, Coach Dickerson, if one were to ask you in 2017, what is going to build this gym? Is it muscle or mindset? What your answer would have been?
So in 2017, the answer would have been muscles. However, in 2019, when I went on a cruise ship and my mindset shifted, the answer would have been mindset. So it's all based on the time period that the question was asked to me. But for sure, in order to build a business, a gym, any sustainable community, mindset always will take over the muscle aspect. So you need to be focused. You need to have delayed gratification, because I could give you a story. A year or 2 years ago, I wanted to invest in a Toyota Hilux, right? So that's about $500,000, right? So I was saving for that, and then boom, we had a serious piece of competition that land close to the gym recently. I want to call the competition name because I have free publicity. So when our competition landed, I literally lose all my clients one time. I was like, wait, boy. So if I did continue and buy that vehicle, I'd begin I'll be losing money every month and then losing my clients every month, and over time that would have compound into failure. So I say, now let me use that money and reinvest into the business, niche down. Instead of considering it a commercial studio, we shifted to a personal training studio, so we have less competition. We niche down, and normally our best months will be around the carnival time period. However, every single month after carnival, we've been doing better than the carnival because of the systems we put in place. So I hired staff, I hired 2 receptionists, 2 trainers, and I focus on just making the system something that able to scale and run independently.
Right.
Yeah.
So you said mindset. Now, there are variations of mindset. What is the mindset you think was necessary to push you forward? What you spoke about discipline, you spoke about being focused, right? But these are things that I guess, and you ask anybody, and they will tell you that. But what what helps you to remain focused? Who are some of the mentors? Who are some of the books? What is the precise formula that you use to make you different from everybody else?
Well, I'm very big on habits. So I read a book called The Compound Effect, and that in itself focuses on magnifying daily habits, because the daily habits is what has helped you win the day. When you win the day, you can win the week. When you win the week, you can win the month, so on and so forth. And by doing that, for a prolonged period of time, once you look back, you won't be the same version of yourself who started the habits to begin with. So I have a morning routine, I have a night routine. I do that every single day. Yeah.
You know, I remember seeing a picture that you posted on your social where it would have been probably 4 o'clock in the morning, and you would have had your journal. You would have written your journal for the day, and I think it was a reflective moment because whatever you would have written sometime in the past, it practically came to reality.
Definitely.
What's the significance of that for you? A moment like that?
The morning routine?
Yeah.
Well, the morning routine in itself does set the pace and set the spirit for the day itself, so you're able to handle any adversity that life has to throw at you. So it definitely is a important and crucial aspect of my journey. And I could probably give you some examples of what the morning routine is. I just get up early, make up my bed, take a cold shower. While taking a cold shower, listen to some motivational. When I come out of the shower, listen to an audiobook while taking my supplements and my breakfast. And I go write down the plans for the day as do that the night before, actually, but as watch the to-do list and basically attack it vigorously. Yeah, so I think every person has two versions of themselves. It have the soul, yeah, it have the general. So the general does help set the ideas, and the soul does have to attack. So once the general able to make proper ideas and you train yourself to be a soldier as well to attack the ideas, conceptualization and execution is where does compound and help you become the best version of yourself in the long run.
I like that. So, Jonathan, new image fitness is not just a facility; it's a way of life. And one of the things that you have done is that you have implemented the 24/7 aspect of your business model, and you have honed in into that as well as lifetime membership. How does those two new elements align with the vision that you have for your business?
Well, I realized that a lot of persons would have said that they can't start a fitness journey because of the schedule. They're only able to train before or after work. And if my hours of operation is only the time period a person does work, then most people won't be able to capitalize on the fitness journey. That's one. And then the competition will definitely take hold of the members who working hard to get. So that was a necessary shift we needed to make in order to have increase in market share, in order to be more sustainable in the long run.
Oh, okay. You know, the interesting thing is that young persons, when they tend to go into business, it's because they don't like the 8 to 4 mindset. But the more that you get involved in business, you realize that you actually spend more time.
Definitely.
And you have to put in more resources and more energy.
Definitely.
But I guess it's different when you're doing it for yourself, your own passion. What's your views on that?
Honestly, as it relates to... Can you phrase the question for me one more time?
All right. What's your views on the perspective of the career path, 8 to 4? But you know, when you start your business passion, it's people assume it's less because you control your own time.
Yeah.
But really, you give more of your time because it's yours. You know, what was that experience?
My perspective on that, well, honestly, a newsflash, there's a confession, I never actually worked a 9 to 5 before. So from school, I used to literally leave from school, go to the gym, and run the gym simultaneously to Form 6. So as soon as I finished Form 6, I started doing it full time. So I never actually had a 9 to 5. I never worked for anybody else really before. So I can't really give like a personal opinion of the differentiation between working a 9 to 5. So being an entrepreneur is all I basically know. So I can't really compare. However, based on testimonials from my clients and stuff who shifted from a 9 to 5 to an entrepreneur, I think What we have to understand is that the 9 to 5 don't make you rich. It does make you rich in certain industries and them kind of stuff. But if you actually want to be successful and stuff, you have to take charge of your own destiny. The employer's goal is their goal is not to make you rich. The goal is to make you continue working for the company that you're working for.
And
Yeah.
with business, you're focusing on yourself and pushing yourself.
Exactly.
Now, another aspect of your model is that you have established a community. So it's not just clients coming to a gym. You have a movement. You know, the hike. That's always an exciting. You have your movie nights. You have those fun activities. You have zoned in and doubled down on the community aspect of it. What are the pillars behind that concept, and why is that important?
So basically, the reason why building a community is important for Numan Fitness is because when we look at other facilities, obviously, because I'm a smaller facility, I won't have that much equipment compared to the commercialized gyms out there. So we needed to find a differentiation for persons to come to have a competitive advantage on the market share. So we decided to focus on something that the commercialized gyms don't focus on. When I say went to a commercialized gym and you walk in and they'll call it by a name or they bring up a memory from a hike you went previously with the facility, that has never happened. The street, like, is insignificant in the premises. So our focus was to make persons feel like it was a part of our culture, our community, our movement. So we decided to start doing stuff like hiking and indoors games on a monthly basis to form a community, because when persons come in the facility and create friends and form bonds, they tend to stay longer. So that has helped with client retention. So that's the reason why we started focusing on community-based activities.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this community now, you have the activities, right? What is the driving force, or what is the pulling factor that you believe that you utilize? And sidestepping from that a bit, I've also observed that your model is basically you watch what already exists and you try your best to figure out how can I make a difference, or how can I add my own ingredient to the pot to take what is rightfully mine, my share. How The question I want to ask is how do you, young Jonathan, know that that is the direction that you are to take? That's different from the what everybody else does.
Yeah, so to answer that question, the reason I started the movement in itself is not from a monetary standpoint, is because it turned into addiction and persons started to ask for advice. So it started based on passion, but you can't go and negotiate and pay for anything with passion now, but you have to pay with money now, boy. So I needed to take the passion seriously and monetize it. And in that transition is where I will develop systems and those kind of stuff that we just spoke about to enhance the community and those kind of stuff.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Now, so the interesting thing as well about your business model is that you have to be the business owner, you have to be the leader, as well as you have to be a coach, which is to be a motivator. How do you balance the two?
To answer that question, in order to be an efficient coach and owner, you have to understand that it works hand in hand. In order to master others, you have to master yourself. So this is why I started stuff like the morning routine and the night routine in order to master myself. So I'll be able to be efficient to handle others. And in handling others, you just get skill sets that you can use to transition into a business. And it's like a whole ecosystem, it's a whole momentum you're creating. Yeah, so.
Okay, excellent, man. So anybody who knows you, Jonathan, knows that you everything that you do is rooted in faith, your faith. How does your faith lend to your leadership style and your business model style?
Faith in itself is something that you definitely need as an entrepreneur, because if you can't see it, nobody cannot see it for you. So faith is probably like the first foundation you need to set in order to add on that foundation to see success. So I will say it's definitely the only reason I made it so far, because it's easy to get distracted. Like for example, I started where I was the tender age of 18 years old. So during that age categories where you will see your friends getting scholarships going away, there will be transitioning into 9 to 5s. to be quote unquote successful. So imagine seeing that while you're in a place of zero, so imagine myself in a facility with nobody, and I on my phone scrolling, and I seen everybody that's happy, and I looking around, I tell myself, wait, why I come out of school for this, boy. So I think taking out the distractions and focusing on yourself is what does actually make you become a successful person.
So let's go into that part. So you're in the gym, nobody's there with you. You're on your phone, you're just scrolling, and you're seeing your peers. And obviously, at a time like that, the natural questions will arise, which you have asked. How do you distract that, or decide that you're going to distract that and not, you know what? Probably I'm wrong. Probably let me just follow up and just do what everybody else is doing.
So to answer that question, I think you need to be delusional in entrepreneurship. If you're not delusional at the start, you won't be able to see what you're experiencing in the future. So in order to answer that question, I would recommend for any entrepreneurs out there to go cold turkey on your friends who not align with your vision. So for example, if you're now starting something, you don't want to scroll on your phone and see persons doing something else, because that may start to inveigle thoughts that what you're doing isn't the right thing. So unfollow your friends, unfollow those celebrities who not promoting the idea and that align with your faith, and just focus on virtual mentors, as I mentioned, people like Tony Robbins, Les Brown. Those kind of persons will assist you in believing your ideas. And once you believe your ideas, you will act on your ideas, you will research ideas, and that in itself will help the ideas come into fruition.
So what is your leadership style or your leadership philosophy at New Image Fitness?
Among my staff or among my employees?
Both. So among your staff and then among your
customers.
Employees.
Okay.
Yeah, customers.
So basically, putting into my leadership style around my staff, I don't like to micromanage. I like to set systems, allow the persons to work in the system. You only know if your system working if you take yourself away from it. So I just take myself away from it. If I realize they call a man saying X, Y, and Z, I realize I have a hole in the system that I need to patch. But if you're always in the system, you won't know if it's working on, because you is the reason it's working on. So as it relates to my leadership style with employees, is a laser fair. So I just allow them to do their own thing while following the system. They could throw in their own personality in order to make it more fun and effective. As it relates to my customers and my clients, my leadership style, I like to lead by example. So you'll always see me training myself on Instagram, on social media, those kind of stuff. You always see me basically following good habits, because you can't coach somebody to follow good habits. And when they look at you, they're saying, what's going on with this man? But he telling me what to do, and he can't do what he telling me what to do. So that's my approach on the two categories, my staff and my clients.
So throughout our conversation, what is absolutely clear, mental health and the character of your mind, the strength of your mind is important. How do you marry between fitness and mindset?
Definitely works hand in hand. So once you get your body active, your mind is sort of clear automatically. So stuff like doing 5Ks and lifting weights, those are distract you from the adversities you're experiencing. So you have time to basically think on solutions to fix the problems you're going through. But if you're always in a problem, then you mightn't get that clarity to get the solutions. So you had to have a distraction, a good distraction. You want to turn to no alcohol or no, those videos all be watching to get distracted. They want to focus on stuff that could increase, ideas and create a space of clarity.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we close off this particular segment, so Coach, how do you remain grounded in the amidst adversity, amidst strenuous situations, amidst times where you probably say, I wonder if it's time. How do you remain grounded and true to form?
I remain grounded by just disconnecting from society. I just go on hikes. I might go on little vacations. I might spend time with the family. I might go on 5Ks, just doing stuff that is disconnected from the norm. And by doing that, you're making that a part of your weekly habits. That in itself does keep you grounded and keep you in a sustainable mindset. So you're able to do this for years and years. I've been doing it since 2017. and it have no stopping it. That's 1% of the journey.
So we have a segment called the Rapid Blue, right?
The Rapid Blue?
Rapid Blue.
Rapid Blue.
So where it is that I'm going to ask you some questions, and the first response that comes to your mind, that's the answer that we want to hear, right?
Okay.
So it's more about getting to know who Jonathan Dickerson is.
Okay.
Right? So tell me when you're ready.
All right. Sure.
All right. All right. So morning lift or evening grind?
Morning lift.
All right. Your gym anthem that gets you very hyped.
I don't have a gym anthem that's get my hype, you know. Yeah, I just naturally hype all the time. Yeah.
All right. So one Caribbean meal that earns the calories.
Meal.
Yeah, meal.
That earns the calories.
Yes.
Rephrase that question.
One Caribbean meal that gets you the calories.
That gets you the calories. Good calories?
Yes.
Or bad calories?
Good calories.
Good calories. I will say oats. Oats does give you a lot of good calories. Yeah.
Nice. What's the best advice you have ever received?
Jump off the cliff. Grow your wings on the way down.
How would you say that is your personal anthem in pushing things forward?
Yeah, definitely. Don't ever wait until you try to figure everything out before you start, because you'll never start. Yeah, you will learn, especially once your money involved, you go learn. You go learn fast. Yeah, you go learn fast. Yeah.
All right. Barbell or body weight?
Barbell or body weight, both.
Both. Right. What's one leadership trait every coach must have?
One leadership traits, listen to your employees, because those are the persons that will help you reach. You have to treat your employees like how you go treat your best customers. Yeah.
All right. How do you reset after burnout? When you hit burnout?
By doing this stuff where I just hike and go on 5Ks and just go on vacations. Just spend time away from the problem, and then I will go back to the problem and attack it full force.
Right.
Yeah.
What is one adjective you think your clients would use to describe you?
As a funny guy. Yeah, as a funny guy.
So, Jonathan, if you were to go back in time and speak to younger Jonathan, what would be the advice that you would give him?
I will give him the advice to never give up. Always stay focused, cut off distractions, don't run down no girl, and just believe in yourself, and eventually you'll make it, bro. Don't worry yourself.
Nice. So let's go to the segment of what is next now. You have had this dream and this passion. You would have utilized this based on circumstance, so you're getting roasted at a funeral, right? You decided that on that cruise ship that, I'm going to move away from just a passion, just the lifestyle, and I'm going to push this now, have a business mindset. You have also viewed the market, and you would have introduced new concepts to be able to harness and keep your clientele, right? And to form your own specific niche for the people that you want to serve. What is next for New Image Fitness? What is next for Coach Dickerson?
So what is next for New Image Fitness? At the moment, we're at the stage where we just making sure the system's working in a way where it could run independently and scale without me. So the next step is to duplicate our system into other franchise regionally. Well, locally, regionally for now. Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. So you have been speaking about expanding the group. You have been talking about launching a youth outreach, right? What's the vision behind that?
About the
youth group, the youth outreach, and the training group.
Okay, so basically, can you phrase that question for me one more time?
Sure. So you are expanding your group training, right?
That's right?
And you're launching youth outreach as well.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the vision? What's the mindset behind that?
Well, we know that the youth is the future of society. So in order for us to have a sustainable Trinidad, because Trinidad right now, in a little shaky predicament, once we're able to target the youths and, make them create good habits, obviously in the future they'll become good citizens of society, and that could have other side effects, which would be good side effects. So I think focusing on the youth is definitely something everybody and in every industry need to start to harness, basically.
Nice. So, what is the level of impact, or how do you see your model or your new image fitness model impact on national wellness, especially for young men?
Well, definitely, I could see the Newman fitness community impacting the health of men locally because the habits I have is the habits I preach to all my clients and have my staff preach to their clients. So everybody have the habit of forming good habits, and that in itself, as I mentioned previously, could definitely benefit everybody who involved in the community itself.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, in 5 years' time, when we bring Coach Dickerson back on the Blueprint podcast, we are going to see new image fitness gyms throughout Trinidad and Tobago, throughout the Caribbean.
That's correct.
Nice.
That's
nice.
correct.
So, in your short stints on this earth and in your experiences, what were some of the lessons that you have learned growing up, being an entrepreneur, being in those difficult circumstances that I guess every entrepreneur gets themselves in?
So one main lesson I learned growing up in the entrepreneurship world is that not every laugh and hee hee ha ha is friend. It have a lot of persons who will be two-faced. They will become your friend to benefit themselves. And in reality, they don't really like your head. So you need to just reevaluate all the relationships you have because not all could be genuine. Yeah.
And what is one thing that you would have learned early in the game that I guess a mistake that you would have made or an error that would have taken place that you learned, you pivoted, and you're grateful that it happened early?
An error I made in the entrepreneurship industry is revolving the business around myself. When you revolve a business around yourself, you're unable to leave the business, you're unable to sell the business. So you have to create a system that could run without you as an entrepreneur. And that way you could create more value, you could have more time to focus on scalability because you can't grow something when you're in it. You have to be able to see it from a aerial standpoint. So that's my mistake, revolving myself around me. So right now the focus is the brand and the employees, and I don't really promote myself like previously.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and if a young person wanted to establish themselves today, they have an idea and they 3 o'clock in the morning, we wake up and it's just they're pondering on it. What are the steps you think that a young person today should do in realizing their own goals?
As soon as they realize your own goal at 3 a.m. in the morning, go on ChatGPT one time. You want to see exactly what to do to achieve that goal, act on it in the morning one time as soon as they wake up. Don't stick. Anytime you prolong, you just tend to overthink and then you just never act. So once the idea seems good, you could weigh pros and cons. Once the pros outweigh the cons, go towards it. Everything are pros and cons. So
Nice, man. So, Jonathan, coach, if it is that someone wants to get in contact with you, how do they go about doing that?
You could reach me at Instagram at coach. I forgot my Instagram name. I think it's coach.jonathan_ton. You can reach my business page at Newman Fitness 868. And that is about it.
Excellent. So, listeners and viewers of the Blueprint podcast, there you would have had it. We would have had a conversation with Coach Jonathan Dickerson, a young man who had a vision, a dream, and decided that he was going to bet on himself and make that dream a reality. You would have observed that one of his styles is that he looks at what already exists and takes a point of view that is different from everybody else and makes it his own. So wherever you are, let us support entrepreneurs. Let us support young persons. So if anybody that needs to hear this episode, tag them. Follow Jonathan on Instagram and New Image Fitness. And probably I'm going to become a member just very soon. And that's it for this episode. I am your host, Dr. Jelani Reed. Until we meet each other again, this is the Blueprint Podcast. Shake hands.
Oh, shit.